truly honored to be here and glad to be in Key West. I was just in Utah for the National Pretrial Services Association conference, and I have never seen such difficulty getting a cocktail. So I am really happy to be in Key West. Does everybody know that in Utah you have to hide behind the Zion curtain in order to get a drink so you cannot make eye contact with your bartender? I didn't know that either, but I learned that in the few days that I was there. Also, there's approximately 6 liquor stores in the entire Utah state, and trust me, they are darn good at hiding those things. Ouch! So finding one was quite a challenge. Anyway, so as I was introduced, I am Marlene Garcia. I'm the Assistant Deputy Chief for the United States Probation Office. You must wonder, what the heck is that? Well, I clean up the mess for my boss. And we are at any time responsible for about 5,000 federal offenders from Key West all the way to Fort Pierce. So when I tell you tonight, if you're here on vacation, do not leave on probation. We don't have any more room. I've been in law enforcement for about 30 years, and boy, have things changed. I think all of you have been a witness and can attest to that. In the current climate that we're in, we're not always welcome. We're not always the heroes. And if you're one of the good ones, which most of us are, unfortunately, we are judged against one bad act. It only takes one bad apple to ruin the bucket. So it takes a lot of work to get up from that, to get motivated and to remain engaged. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is I want to talk to you about purpose. I want to talk to you about our personal why. Why do we do what we do? How do we remain engaged? And if you're leaders, and I'm sure you are in some capacity, how do you keep those who work for you engaged? So, I don't know if any of you know Simon Sinek, but I find him to be an emotional, motivational leader, speaker. He has a lot of TED TV programs. And Simon always says that we are all responsible for leadership in whatever position we hold. I truly believe that. To be a good leader, you must be able to inspire others. In order to do so, it's important to understand your own purpose. I call it my own why. Equally, we must understand the purpose of the organizations we work for. And in a perfect world, if we can align our personal why with the why of our organizations, it's a happy world for everybody. We all know that doesn't always happen. It's important to maintain balance in our lives as well, and I think some jobs are just not conducive to a family life. Our jobs are particularly difficult on our families, and I think we have to continue to maintain that balance. I know this mic is kind of loud, and I have a big old voice. I almost said a bad word, but
we're used to that.
I'm gonna try to keep it clean. Our intentions truly guide our actions, because I don't want to embarrass Sean. So I'll keep it clean, Sean, I promise. Our intentions truly guide our actions, so we need to live in our intention. I truly believe
the other
that.
Sean.
Yeah. Imagine your success. Whatever you want to do, whatever it is that your dream is, will allow you to make that happen. Do not ever allow anything or anyone to deter you from achieving what you want to achieve. I truly live by this motto: be ambitious, be disciplined, and be consistent. It can be challenging to balance all the demands we're faced with at times, and our jobs expect so much of us. Sometimes it comes at the expense of our families. We have all faced tough situations, tough budget times. Recently, we faced, a few years back, sequestration. All of us at the probation office suffered through furloughs. We had to walk employees through the path of separation from a job that they weren't quite ready to give up, but they had to do it. Those are challenging times. Why is it important during those times to maintain a clear vision of your purpose and your why? I believe that sometimes that's all you have, personally, and that's all you have as a manager and as a leader to motivate your people, because when you can't give them money and you can't give them a promotion, where do you go? You go to that place and you remember and you remind people why they got into the business they got into. It's a huge challenge though. It's not something easy. It's extremely difficult. Simon Sinek, the gentleman I spoke with earlier, says that when you start with why, you can inspire action. He says when you hire people just because they can do the job, they will work for money. But when you hire people because they believe what you believe, they will work for blood, sweat, and tears. That is true. We've seen it in our business. There are people who will work alongside you that are excited to go where you're going. We all have known those people. I had the highest compliment paid to me this week by one of my managers. He's a recently promoted manager. He came up to me and he said, you know, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been following you for a long time. You've been a leader in this organization for a long time. And I know you're retiring next year, which I am, thank God. And he said to me, whoever takes your place, I will do what they tell me to do. I promise you that. I will follow the rules. But you have given me the best ride of my life. There has never been any hesitation as to whether or not I wanted to follow you, because I've always known exactly where you were going, and it was the same place I wanted to go. Wow. That's all I said to him. Thank you. Thank God you're not drunk, and I'm not misinterpreting this by come on. Let me give you an example in history where purpose and why have really been very relevant. Why did thousands of people travel to Washington, D.C. on a hot August day in 1963 to listen to Dr. Martin Luther King deliver his speech of I have a dream? And by the way, guys, he didn't say I have a plan. He said I have a dream. So let's go back to purpose and why. I tell you what, there was no internet, there was no mass mobs, there was no text messaging, and yet people travel hundreds of miles to hear Dr. King speak. Do you know why they did that? They didn't do it for Dr. King. He wasn't the only civil rights activist of the time. He wasn't the only excellent orator. They went there because they believed what he believed. They wanted to be in the presence of that moment where somebody of the magnitude of Dr. King was going to share a sentiment of purpose and why that they also believed in. That's why they were there. Powerful. It's very, very powerful when people understand purpose, when they understand the reason they do what they do, their personal why. I believe that we must work from the inside out and explain why we want people to do what we want them to do. It's quickly and easy to go to the what and the how. It's much more difficult to explain why because we have to dig deep to go there. Great corporations do this. By the way, Apple is one of the most excellent corporations at delivering for why. That's why we all want to own an iPhone, because we all want to own something that resonates with what we want and what we expect of quality. There's also a great example that I always use when I travel around the country, and it's the movie of The Karate Kid. I don't know if you guys remember when Daniel's son came to Mr. Miyagi and said, I want to learn karate. And what did Mr. Miyagi do? He said to him, you're going to paint fences and you're going to wax cars. And the kid did it for a couple of days, and then after that he's like, what the I want to learn karate. And it wasn't until Mr. Miyagi explained that the painting of the fence and the waxing of the car had a lot to do with the maneuvers that he would have to learn in order to learn karate. So if Mr. Miyagi would have explained that to him from the very beginning, Daniel's son would have never questioned where he was taking him. Luckily for him, he eventually cleaned it up. He showed the kid where he was going. I'll tell you a little bit about my personal why and why I never lack motivation, and why I am so happy to be here to speak with you, and why I speak around the country to managers and leaders of all ages and all levels in their career. My personal why started a long time ago when I was 7 years old. I'm a Cuban immigrant. We left Havana, Cuba, not because we wanted to, but because we had to. Or at least my parents felt that way. I'll never forget the day that the military descended upon my father's beautiful farm in a vehicle full of military men armed with machine guns. My parents' home that I had known them to work so hard to achieve. My parents' farm that he gave all of his might to. was all of a sudden no longer ours. They came in, they said, you're done, you're the worms, we were called los gusanos during that time, and you're out of here. They put a seal on the door, and they told my parents, you're no longer welcome. Leave. That whole evening in the airport, when I was 7, my sister was 4, we went through the most degrading event I will ever remember. I was vaccinated like a dog. It wasn't for the purposes of the vaccination. It was for the purpose of marking you and branding you, making you remember that they owned you. They also did everything they could to intimidate my father, to make him feel like he was a piece of nothing worth. To the very, very last minute before we left, my father was questioning whether or not he would be able to leave. So when things get tough and things get challenging because we can't get the right desk, or we don't have the right car, I remember the sacrifice that was made by my parents. I can't imagine being 32 years old and traveling to a foreign country without any money, knowing the language, and doing so because you knew you wanted your kids to have something better than what you could offer them in that island. I will never forget my why. I will never forget my mission. I will never forget my purpose. My fellow officers, community members, and all the guests here tonight, we don't go into civil service for the money. We go into this work because there's a deeper motivator within ourselves. Hopefully, a deep ingrained purpose and a why. So when you're not feeling your best and the media has discredited your profession because someone has lost their path and acted in a manner that is disgraceful to all of us or inappropriate, pick yourselves up by your big girl panties and your big boy pants. Remember why you do what you do and shine. And when you can no longer do it, get out. Because you will no longer be there for the right reasons. Make sure you have a sugar daddy or sugar mama or something. I'm just saying. So I'll leave you with a few words that I truly believe by and live by. Live with passion, live with intention, mission, and purpose. Don't forget who you are. Don't compromise your principles and your beliefs. Love with intensity. Laugh as often as you can, and never forget who you are and why you do what you do. You are all amazing. You are remarkable. You are all you've got. Love and respect yourselves. Thank you very much for inviting me here tonight. Thank you so much.